Today we'll be distilling the ethanol. We're gonna be like a Lord and Savior tickle. So let's get cooking. Before we start out this little shindig, we gotta find the true name. That will be located in the front room right underneath the chemistry cowboy. Here's a chart to look at, and here's the gal's chart to look at. Before you enter the lab, you gotta make sure you're properly safe. Because a safe lab is a happy lab, and a happy lab always uses that vacuum grease. So kids, make sure you wear your goggles and aprons. Keep them on sturdy tight. So what you'll need is some boiling stones, graduated cylinder, distillation flask, an evaporation disc, condensing tube, a ring-a-ding stand, you need a pair of those, a laptop, temperature probe, a Bunsen burner, matches the light to Bunsen burner, and your ethanol water mixture.
Begin setting up the experiment by attaching the distillation flask to the lab stand. Next, align the Bunsen burner below the distillation flask. Now attach a condensing tube to the distillation flask. Attach the lower hose to the faucet and place the higher hose into the sink. The water inlet hose should be lower in elevation to the water outlet hose. This ensures that the condensing tube will fill completely with water.
Make sure you use some clips to make it sturdy tight. As you see here, top one goes to the sink, as the bottom one goes to the faucet.
Now use a graduated cylinder to measure approximately 30 to 40 milliliters of the 30 to 70 ethanol and water solution.
Don't forget to put your lid back on.
Pour the solution into the distillation flask. Be sure to pour parallel with the condensing tube. Now add a few boiling stones to the flask, which ensures a smooth boiling process. Insert a one-hole stopper to the top of the distillation flask, and then insert the temperature probe through the one-hole stopper. Connect the temperature probe to your laptop and open Logger Pro. Prepare the graph by setting the x-axis equal to time and the y-axis equal to temperature.
Don't forget to extend your data collection.
Place a graduated cylinder under the outlet of the condensing tube. This graduated cylinder will be used to measure samples of distilled ethanol.
You might want to use an upside down beaker to raise your graduated cylinder to the nozzle.
Clean and prepare 5 evaporation discs for the sample of ethanol. Start your data collection and turn on the faucet to allow water to flow through the condensing tube. Light the Bunsen burner and observe the process of distillation. This experiment utilizes distillation as a means to separate a mixture of 30% ethanol and 70% water. One complication known to arise when distilling an ethanol and water solution is the generation of impure products. This is due to the relatively close boiling points between ethanol and water. Collect 5 milliliter samples of ethanol, and once 5 milliliters are collected, pour the sample into an evaporation disc. Repeat this process until all the discs are filled. After all samples have been collected, stop and save your lab data, turn off the gas of the Bunsen burner, and turn off the water to the condensing tube. Now light each sample of ethanol. Make observations of how each sample burns, such as any visible flames and the remaining contents of the petri dish after all the ethanol has been combusted. Be careful not to get burned, because pure ethanol will produce a colorless flame. This is fractional distillation, a method of separating the components by condensing and vaporizing the components several times, to allow the faster vaporizing component, in this case ethanol, to rise out of the fracture tube while holding the other component, water, in the distillation flask.
With each dish, the flame gets smaller because there's a low concentration of ethanol in the dish. This is what your graph should look like. The graph tells you the temperature where ethanol boils and shows you the steady rise in temp of the water. Daggone, that was cool. Now, clean up your lab station and you're going to be almost as good as tickle. And now start working your lab report so you don't procrastinate. Have a good one.